still morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is our first ever Saturday seminar. We've been wanting to do these for years, and at least 3 years we've been trying to do a Saturday seminar on a topic that we felt was relevant and up people's alley. So did anybody that wanted to order lunch not order? If you haven't told, you need to tell Jody what you want for lunch. She's got a menu selection out there, so that we'll have that here in the next hour or so. We are going to go right through lunch though, so that's why you have tables, not only so you can take notes, but so you can also eat while one of our speakers is going, okay? So, I want to thank all of you for coming out. I do want to say hi to everybody watching online, if you are watching online today. We are streaming this. Some of you are like, oh man, I could have stayed home in my pajamas. But you get more out of it when you're here in live. But those of you who are watching out of state or anywhere else, I hope that you get something out of this today. So I can think of no better way to start something like this than to ask the Holy Spirit to help us. Amen. So let's pray. Father God, in Jesus' name, we thank you for a great day. We thank you for, Lord God, wisdom and understanding. And we thank you that what Paul prayed for the church at Ephesus is for us today, that the eyes of our understanding would be open. Lord, we know that your will is to bless. And Father, now we ask that you increase our capacity to not only be able to handle more blessing, but Lord God, that we'll be able to go out and achieve the blessing and reach out and grab the blessing and pull it into our lives. And Father, we pray that each one of the speakers would just have the anointing of the Spirit of God upon them today, so that as they deliver the words and the knowledge that they have, Lord God, they speak it with your power upon them. We thank you for that today. Holy Spirit, we welcome you here to just have your way amongst us and speak through each one of these speakers today. And we give you all the praise for it in Jesus' name. Amen. Praise the Lord. Well, we're going to start right off today with one of our own here at Direction Church. You all know him if you go to church here, because they are here mostly every Sunday. That's a little dig. They are local business folks, and James has also has a history in counseling and things like that. But he's also has a successful coaching business, and he also speaks. And they are very successful business folks. And you know his wife, Dr. Loretta, but I want you guys to welcome Coach James Justin this morning.
Thank you, Pastor Brent. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Come on, guys. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm excited to be here with you. We're going to have a great time. I hope you are ready to take a lot of notes. Take some great notes, because your notes will last you forever. And plus, when you engage by taking notes, you remember the content very well. So I thank you, my Pastor Brent, for inviting us. This is our very first one, and I got to be the first, so I'm excited about that. All right? We're going to have a great time. I have a simple question for all of you. How many of you want to make more money now? All right, let's see. Except for Ed. All right? But we all do want to make more money, right? I have another serious question for you. Why aren't you making more money now? Think about this. This is a dialogue. I'm not going to lecture. This is not a lecture. This is really an engaging dialogue. So you talk to me, I talk to you. So why aren't you making more money now? What do you guys think? Raise your hand. You know, I can't see very well, so you can just say, I have a question, and then go ahead and go. I saw a hand somewhere this way. Why aren't you making more money now? Okay, go ahead, Sandy. You don't know how to invest it. That's a great thing. We have a great investor here today, so you're gonna love it. So that's a great reason. What else? What are some other reasons why we don't make more money?
Our jobs only pay us so much.
Your job is only paying you so much. That's a great one. Anybody else? Just one more, one more. All right? What I'd like to share with you is 5 steps to financial freedom that this is not theoretical 5 steps. This is steps that my wife and I use to transform our finance. I gotta be honest with you, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was born in Haiti. For the first 14 years of my life, I was born, spent there. I moved to the United States when I was 14 years old, didn't speak any English, had to learn English, had to learn the culture, and moved from a tropical island to Newark, New Jersey. That was a shock in my life. I remember the first time I saw snow and played in snow and slip and fall. I said, Mom, send me back home. I can't stay in this place. She taught me a great, powerful lesson. She said, son, home is where you are with your family. Home is in your mind. It's not a place, it's in your mind. So I struggle with it, struggle learning English within 6 months. But I did grasp it. So I'm coming from a humble beginning. So I don't come to you today with silver spoon, born with riches in my life. We came from zero, from nothing. And everything I ever achieved, I worked for it. I come with you with that in mind. And at the end of this, my talk, there's 2 things I'd like you to take away. If you don't get anything today, get this. It doesn't matter how much money you make, is how much money you keep. So write that down. It doesn't matter how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. I want to take that message home. And your financial freedom, the second thing I want you to remember is your financial freedom begins in the mind. Okay, I'm not a financial planner. I'm not. I was trained at Boston College to be a psychotherapist. Got my master's in clinical social work. So I've learned about how people think, feel, and act. That's what I studied. And I am a minister also. So what I teach you is from a psychological perspective, more importantly, from the Bible. So the Bible says in the book of Romans 12, be ye transformed by what? By the renewing of your mind. So today, that's the foundation of all my talk today, is from those 2 things, is that as you renew your mind, your finance will change. This is not just a matter of speaking, it is facts. The fact that I'm before you today is evidence that if you change the way you think, you will change everything. Your marriage, your finance, everything, your life. Now, in the beginning, I asked, why aren't you making more money? And some of you gave me some great ideas because, one, well, my job is not giving me a raise. So I heard things like, I don't have a college degree. Things like, well, I don't know how to invest my money. Those are all great reasons. And I want to take you in a journey following those 5 steps to transform your life. You're already making more money. Well, you can always make more money. So these steps will help you even if you already where you want to be. Step number 1, start with your why. Tell your neighbor, start with your why. Come on. Look at your neighbor dead in the eye. Say, start with your why. There's a great philosopher, Scottish philosopher once said, his name is Thomas Carlyle. He once said, a person without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder. Okay? It doesn't matter how much money you make, it's how much money you keep and how you use your money to enjoy the life that God gave you. And the best way to start your journey to financial freedom is start with your why. What I mean by your why is, what is your purpose? What is your calling in life? What's your core value? What would you do with the additional wealth you have in your life? Start with your why. That's the first step, Lord, and my wife, we started. We start thinking, what would we do when we don't have to work? What would we do? I remember I came up, her and I, we came up with 5 core values that we want to focus on. Our 5 core values, they all start with F, and we teach our kids those 5 core values. We said number 1 is faith and spirituality was important to us. So we had that in top. Family and friends was one of the highest values we have. And we want to be fitness and health. We want to have fun. So those are the things that we said we want to enjoy with our wealth. So start with your why. When you get a raise, what would you do with it? I hope you'll give additional money to this church who's blessing you. You have great Pastor Brent and Jody, who support us and pray for us, who love on us. So I encourage you, start with your why. If you don't know your why, you may have a lot of money, but you won't be fulfilled. So this teaching is about this helping you not only make more money, but also learn to enjoy it. There's no sense. The Bible says, what does it profit a man to gain everything, the whole world, but loses his or her own soul? So it doesn't matter how much money you make, is how much money you keep. And I'm going to show you how you can do that in 20 minutes. So I want this to be short and sweet, and then give you an opportunity to ask questions, because that's where I feel like you get the greatest value, is ask questions. The more questions you ask, the better. So you all know the company who makes the iPhone, right? It's a very popular American company, Apple. And do you guys know who are one of the founders of Apple? Steve Jobs, correct? All right. But did you know that Steve Jobs got fired from his job? He actually did, for like a decade. He started the company, but the company went public, so he had to hire a new CEO with a new board. So they didn't like the direction he wants to take the company. He got fired. And I'd like to read to you, this is Steve Jobs' mission. When I said start with your why, it's important to have a mission, because the mission, when you have a purpose, it gives you a sense to wake up in the morning. It's like every day can be Friday for you if you have a purpose, if you have a reason for why you're going to work, why you're starting this business, because life is going to knock you down. But if you have a purpose, you have a reason, you can get back up again. This is Steve Jobs' mission. Original mission was to make contribution to the world by making tools like computers for the mind that advance humankind. And the new CEO didn't wanted to go to a different direction. And they literally fired Steve Jobs. And I like Steve Jobs. What he did was he went and started Pixar. So he took the knowledge he had and started another company. So that was brilliant. But when the stock of Apple was going down, they bought him back. And hence, his innovation, like iPad that we use, the iPhone that I have, all that stuff came back from his second return, so to speak, back to Apple. So Apple stock started to go down because they lost their purpose. And when Steve came back to Apple, he revived the mission, the purpose that Apple was there to do. And as a result, we have all the great products we now enjoy. It's probably one of the most innovative companies in the world. I would say Apple is, in my opinion. And Pastor Brent loves Apple's product all the time. He's always making fun of if you don't have Apple products, you don't have a smartphone, you have a dumb phone. So first step is start with your why. The why is what keeps you, it's the fuel to your financial goal. Number 2, renew your mindset. Renew your mindset. Let me ask you, when you were growing up as a kid, what were some of the things you were taught about money? When you hear the word money, what are some of the things you think about? Evil. Okay, what else? Save. Okay, what else have you heard when you were growing up about what did your folks taught you about money? Ask yourself 3 times if you really need it. Wow, I never heard that one. What else? Yeah. What else have you guys heard when you were growing up? It's you don't need money. Well, that's a good one. You don't need money if you have God. Not everything is money. Yeah. Have you guys heard money is the root of all evil? You heard that? Okay, well, I know. But some people twist it. They said the love of money, okay, is the root of all evil, right? That's what the Bible says, the love of money, not money itself. But some of us we're taught that money itself is the root of all evil. It's not money. Money is a neutral currency. It's a tool. When I was growing up, I was taught that you got to struggle. You know, if you want to thrive and survive, if you want to earn anything, you have to work hard to struggle. That's what I was taught. So, what do you believe about money? What are your core beliefs when it comes to money? To me, in my opinion, the number one cause why you're not making more money is not your intelligence. We have countless of people who dropped out of college, dropped out of high school. You know, Henry Ford only had like third or fourth grade education. He was the richest man around his time. So it's not your level of education. It's not your IQ. It's not your EQ either. It's your mindset. So number 2, we knew your mindset. How do you do that? You have to reframe the limited belief that you were taught as a kid. As we all have filters, and those filters they all have been programmed since we were a kid. Usually about 3rd grade, about 3 years old, So social science shows that all the filters you're going to need as an adult are pretty much locked between 3 and 6. By the time you're 3 years old. So when you're dealing with money and the lack of money, check your belief system. Were you taught that there was no limit in money? You can have all the money you want. There's abundance in life. Another thing is people were taught that you got to work hard to make money. That was another thing. You got to work hard. What do you have to work so hard? Actually, people who make a lot of money, they don't work hard. They work smart. They work smarter. They invest their money. I was taught that you got to save a lot of money, but nobody become rich by saving. Everybody become rich by investing, because that's the best way you multiply your money. So check your limited beliefs about money. That's where the Bible says, and when you get home, read that, Romans 12:2, 1 and 2. Don't follow the pattern of this world. The pattern of this world is work hard. Now, I'm not saying don't work hard. I'm not saying don't go to school. That's not what I'm saying. I went to school. I went to college. I'm not imposing enhancing your mind. But that alone is not what gives you financial freedom. You have to change the way you think about money. That it doesn't have to be hard. Okay, it's not how much money you make. I know people make way more money than me. They still live check by check. Yeah, you know, I tell this story all the time in one of my books, my 12 tips to financial freedom. I talk about how my wife and I, a family of 5, we live on $2,000 a month. I work for the state of Florida as a voc rehab counselor, making $2,000 a month. But you know that $2,000 a month, we had a car, we had a house. Actually, that house helped us start our clinic and help us bought our dream house. So it's not how much money you make, is really how much money you keep. What did you learn about money? So reframe your attitude about money. Money is not evil, it's the love of it. And the love of it, it depends on how what you do with your money. That's what determines your success. Number three, set smart goals. Number three, that's one of the things that my wife did. We set some smart goals. We have new goals for our giving. So we came with a plan, said what were the top five organization, nonprofit charities that dears to us. You know, our church, organization that deals with autism, because we have three boys and two of them are on the spectrum. So we picked the top five favorite of our charities, and we said, hey, our 10%, we're gonna our offerings. So we picked out. We had a specific goal that we want for our giving, for our investment, for our saving, for our vacation money, for just spending. So we have specific smart goals. What do you have? What is your goal for you to make more money? Okay. Now, one of my favorite quote is, "If you don't have a goal, you're not going anywhere." Okay. Give me an example what a SMART goal is. Are you guys familiar with the concept SMART goal? It's an acronym, SMART. Can you guys give me an example of a SMART goal? Like, I want to lose weight is not a SMART goal. It's a dumb goal. Okay? Obviously, it's not working. So, what's a SMART goal? Can you guys, anybody knows the acronym SMART? All right. Make more to give more. All right. Okay. A SMART goal. The acronym SMART. Have you guys heard the concept of SMART goal? Okay. All right. S is what? Uh-huh. What's the rest? Uh-huh. Achievable. Uh-huh. Reachable. And time bound. So when you set a goal, you can't say I want to lose weight, or I want to make more money, or I want to be financially free. That's not a goal. That's a wishful thinking. Right? A smart goal is to by the end of this month, I want to raise $1,000. That's a smart goal. By the end of the year, I want to lose 10 pounds. That's a smart goal. Okay, you can measure it. You have a time to it. It's specific. So that's a smart goal. So that's one of the third thing Loretta and I did to become financially free. We start smarter goals, and then we have a specific goal for our saving, giving, spending money. I like. Can you say the five smart? Sure. S is for specific. Your goal needs to be specific. Like, I wanna raise $10,000 by the end of this month or by the end of the year. That's specific. Okay. So you can see where you are now, how much money you have in your bank. Okay. And then say by the end of the year, I want to raise $10,000. That's specific. Okay. All right. So S is specific. M is measurable. Can you measure it? Okay. All right. Number A. A is for achievable. Like, for example, for me, I'd say, okay, in a year I want to be a pilot. That's never going to happen. Why? Because I'm legally blind. I only have 10% vision. Yeah, you don't want to be in that plane that I'm flying. Okay, so that's not achievable. That's not realistic. Okay. That's right. Right. Correct. All right. Reachable is the R, and then T is, it has to have a time to it. All right. Like, I want to lose weight by. Okay. I want to lose X pound by. So step number 4, you have to follow a winning plan. Some of you, the reason why you're probably not making money, you're following a losing plan. All right. We have financial planner here today and investors today who can help you. So you need a winning strategy. So that's number 4, that step that Loretta and I took to transform our finance. I like what Ben Franklin says. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So what plan do you have to make more money? What plan do you have for your financial freedom? Like I said, get somebody to help you make a plan. And not only have a plan, have your team hold you accountable to the plan. How many of you have the plan in the beginning of the year? I want to lose 10 pounds, but by February you lose it. Okay? Or I want to make more money, and then a crisis come, you run away because you didn't have a plan. If you had a plan for it to build an emergency fund, so when the crisis come, you will have some money to cover it. I mean, nobody like to have like car trouble, but if you have the money already reserved for it and your car breaks down, well, I mean, you're not going to like it, but at least you are covered. You plan for it. These folks here can help you plan for that. You need a plan. New research shows that people who just have a plan and write it down, they are 80% more likely to achieve them. Just having the plan alone. Okay? And social science clearly proved that over and over. Just having a financial freedom plan, that alone will cause you to achieve your financial goal. So number 4, not only we had a winning plan, we followed the plan, and we asked our advisors. We have our financial advisors. I'm a coach. I have coach to coach me. You know, I remember we want to turn our business around to $1 million practice. We hired somebody who made $1 million. So if you want to make $1,000, hire somebody who made $1,000 to help you. But trust me, it's well worth it. I remember we took a coaching class with the Rich Dad Poor Dad coaching program, and I didn't have the money. We didn't have the money. I think it cost us over 10 grand, but we put in our credit card. But that 10 grand was not debt to us. It was an investment because the value we got changed our lives. So if you want to get a different result, you have to renew your thinking. More importantly, you have to do something you've never done before. And lastly, the 5th step we took is we became, write this down, become an automatic millionaire. Just automate your system, automate your finance, automate your giving, okay? Just set that up through your bill pay to send the check to the church, to your favorites. I still find it amazing people still get paper check. I hope none of you are taking paper check. That's a waste of time. You got to go to the bank, cash the check. I mean, that's a waste of time. You could be thinking about how you can make more money while you're in the line instead of going to the bank. So automate your system. You know, have your check come to you automatically through your bank, and from that, set aside your saving to go automatically. All the bills, like your mortgage, your rent, those are fixed expenses. Just have them go automatically, because each time you have to write a check, put a stamp on it, mail it, you're wasting time. And then time is everything. It's not just money. Time is not just money. Time is everything, because time is the only thing you have. You can't take it back. I can always make more money, but my time is gone. The time I spend in with you right now, it's the most valuable asset I have. Because I have to stop something else to be with you. It's not just money, but it's everything. So invest your time and your resources automatically. Your investment account. So here's what I would say. The best way you automate your finance is follow what I call the 70-30 rules. I'll explain that, and then we'll close with that. Okay? So let's say you get $100 for the week in your job. Okay? Just for easy math. Okay? Take $10 out of that. Okay? Give it to the church. Okay? For some people who don't go to church, I say give it to your favorite organization, or go to direction.church and donate it to this organization. Okay? That's the first thing you do. And then you do that automatically. You have your bank set it up for you where it goes automatically. So you take $10 saving, $10 investment. Okay? You can be investing for your next home. That's what my wife and we did. I remember when we bought our first home, some people were saying, hey, James, your wife is a doctor, you're a big-time psychotherapist. Hey, this is not a good house for you. You need to buy a house bigger than that. I said, thank you. No thanks. Okay? So I went and bought a first home 400. I think we bought that house for $100,000. In a couple of years, the house went up. We took the line of credit, started our own our clinic, and those people were saying, "Oh, you don't belong there." They all lost their house when the market crashed, and we still have the house. Right now, the house is an investment for us, bringing me dividends. Now it's our rental property. We don't live in that house. So you will take $10 from your $100. You invest. Invest, maybe it could be for your children college. It could be, I don't know, whatever the investment ideas you have. These folks here that will help you. So, and then you'll take 10. So $10 you give away, 10 you invest, and then save $10 for emergencies. You know, your car breakdown, an unexpected expense and whatnot. So, and then live all your other bills. Okay, you live by that $70. So that's how you automate it. And then you have all your money, that $100 come to one checking account. Okay, and your saving, don't have it in the same bank you have. Have it in off-site bank where you don't have easy access to it. You know, and then your investment account, take it off-site where you can't go to the local bank and get the money out. Make it a little bit difficult to get the money out. Okay, it could be at Prudential. We have the Prudential people here, so you can let them invest it for you. So, and then your saving. Don't have your saving. Don't have your investment. Don't have your giving in-house. Just have one place where you get all your money, but spread them out. Okay, you automate that. Pretty much all major banks allow you to have bill pay, so you can easily have one saving account, but your saving, one checking account, your saving off-site, your investment off-site, and then obviously your giving off-site. So those are the 5 steps my wife and I use, and it's also on my book. This book right here. It's called, you can get, if you go to my website, justincoaching.com, Justin Coaching, that's my last name, justincoaching.com, and you can get that book. So some of these content that I share with you came from the book, and I believe those 5 steps will transform your life. I like to review those 5 steps. Number 1, start with your why, okay? If you don't have a purpose, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're not going to be fulfilled. There's a lot of people who make money or feel dead inside. Some of them commit suicide. So it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. So start with your why. Number 2. What's number 2? Let me see if you listen and you take good notes. What's number 2? You renew your mindset by reframing your limited beliefs. Okay, the negative thoughts that you have about, and feelings, not just thoughts, the negative feelings, thoughts you have about money. So money is not bad. Money is it's not a good or bad. Money is not even real. Money is just a paper. It's just a tool that you use to enjoy everyday life, to help the light in this church come on, to enjoy everyday life, to enjoy the good health that God gives you, to enjoy your children, your grandchildren. What's number 3? You have to set goal, but better yet, set smart goals. Okay, your goal has to be specific, measurable, achievable, reachable, or retainable if you want, and it has to be time bound. It has to be specific. I want to be a millionaire by. Okay, so said, what does that mean to you? Okay, millionaire might be a different thing for a different person. So you have to define. So you can't say I want to be financially free. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. Okay, so more specifically, I want to raise X by. Okay, all right. So what's number 4? Follow a simple, boring plan. Okay, so that's the problem. People think that things need to be complicated. It doesn't. Financial freedom doesn't have to be hard. It could be simple. Just follow a winning, simple, boring plan. Okay, what's number 5? You have to become a modest millionaire by follow the 30-70 rule, and then set everything up automatic through your bill pay, because you're going to waste time if you have to keep watching your money. It's a waste of time. All right? Now, just to be here today, I want to give you a free gift. This is what you need to do to get it. Okay, my wife wrote this great ebook called Yes You Can. I believe you can be financially free, and I want to give you that as a free gift. This is how you claim it. You text the word HALO to 42828, 42828. You text. Go ahead and do this now. I'll give you a few minutes. No. Yeah, if you want it to be yeah, you can use a dumb phone, but it doesn't have to be smartphone. Phone. But no, any smartphone will work. Just 42828, or go to justincoaching.com to claim yours. If you go to the website justincoaching.com where it says sign up, okay, you'll have to click there, or otherwise just text. Just hello. Just tell me hello. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Just hello. Yeah.
Thought you said
And
Halo.
42828.
Angel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it now.
So text that word, and then it's going to prompt you to put your password, your name, and your email. That's all. And then you'll get an email from me where you can download the ebook. It's a free gift I give you just to say thank you for being here, and thank you for being serious about your financial freedom, because you show up. All right? So thank you. Did you get some value today?
Absolutely.
All right.
Stay
Thank
here.
you.
I want to ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
So you were talking about making your practice become $1 million practice.
Yes.
And so you talked to somebody who'd already been and kind of have used that person as a resource that already has $1 million practice.
Yes.
So my question to you is, when you go to somebody like that, and I know the answer to this, but I want to hear your input on it. How much of what they're doing do you do yourself? Do you copy everything they're doing, like exactly? Do you customize what they're doing to fit your plan? How does that work? Because I think some people go and find a role model like that, and they just become a clone. Let me give you an example. I used to teach at Rhema Bible College in Tulsa, and of course Kenneth Hagin casts a huge shadow as far as who he is in ministry. And some people would come and sit there, and eventually they're walking like him. They're telling his stories like they're their own, and they're doing everything he would do. And I see that in some other church planners that are out there doing. They're doing everything that their mentors teaching them. So that's what I wanted to hear about for you, and and Loretta, feel free to absolutely weigh in on this too. How much of what they tell you do you really absorb and make your own?
All right. First, I want to say why you want a mentor or a coach. Okay. It's going to save you time and money. So if you have to go learn everything on your own, it's going to take you forever. Why not copy somebody who already made success, okay, and tailor-made their pattern to fit you? I'm not Brent. I can't talk like Brent, okay? I'm not T.D. Jakes. I cannot preach like T.D. Jakes, okay? But I can take, okay, I can learn something from Brent, and so from T.D. Jakes, and customize it to James, okay? So yeah, it's important to have a coach, but it's more important to find something that works for you, okay? So when I took speech class, the teacher said you have to bring who you are, you know? You have to bring your accent, you have to bring who you are. Don't be somebody, you be authentic and be genuine. So yes, you want to always have a mentor. It's going to save you time, because I wish I had mentors when I started my journey to financial freedom. Day one when I went to college, I wish I did. I didn't. And in school, they didn't teach you anything about money. So I had to made a lot of mistakes, lost a lot of money. Finally, I said, you know what, I need some help. We need some help. And we used their blueprint and customized it to Loretta and I. You cannot, that 5 steps I gave you, these are the steps that we use. We want you to use them, but customize it to yours, okay? You may not have $10,000 to invest. You may have just $1, you know? So find a company that has a share.
That's what I was hoping you'd get to, because I think some people would hear I have to have $10,000,
No.
and then they're frozen because they're copying somebody else's behavior. So customize it to where you are right now.
Yes.
All right, last question.
Yeah.
Is it okay for your why to be a little bit selfish? Like, I want to be a millionaire because I'm tired of struggling on paying my bills. Is it okay to have a little bit of selfish is probably not the right word, but is it okay to want that for yourself?
What's the point of having money if you can't enjoy it? Okay, so it's definitely yes. Okay, I don't think God want us to. I heard this pastor actually was praying for God to bless him. Okay, and each time that God gave him money, he gave it away. All right, and he keeps going back to God and say, God, please give me some more money. God said, finally, he said that God told me, stop asking me money. Each time I give you money, you give it away. Okay, why don't you just enjoy the money I give you? That is why God asked for, what, 10%. Okay, so you have a whole 90% you can enjoy. Yes, it's okay to enjoy it. If there's nothing wrong, if you want to buy a Bentley, you can afford it, buy a Bentley.
Come on, somebody.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that. But don't go buy a Bentley if you can't afford it.
There you go.
Okay. So yes, I would say definitely you want to enjoy your blessing.
I think the reason I asked that is because I know a lot of people have problems when they start making money. Because and as Christians, we kind of want to go tilt on that because we feel like it's wrong for us to have money. And it goes back to what his point number 2 was, what have you been taught? Obviously, the Lord will deal with you to give some away and tithe and give offerings, and those are the times you need to be sensitive and say, yes, that's when. But the point I was hoping that he would make, and he did, was it's okay to want to enjoy life with the finances that you have. If you want to buy a Harley,
Amen.
Right? Then you go ahead and do that, and it's okay for that. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, Jody's over there getting your lunch right now. So, James, thank you so much. That was an
pleasure was
excellent
mine.
way to
Thank you,
kick it
guys.
off. Thank you so much. And I enjoy my time with James and Loretta. We get together frequently to discuss. If you wanted to, but we're going to throw the screen up on there. We'll be back in 5 minutes. folks to finish up there. Oh, okay. Can we get one more book, Russell? We got one that didn't get one. All right. All right. Well, all right. Well, welcome back, everybody, to our first ever Saturday seminar. We've done a lot of firsts this year. We had our first Sunday night service earlier this year. Now we're doing our first Saturday seminar. We've been, again, those of you who've been in the church for a while know I talked about this years ago about doing Saturday seminars. And it's not just going to be on things like finances. Sometimes we may do one on cooking. Because I said when I gave this vision, and I hope Ruth will remember this, I said, wouldn't it be awesome to do one where we can learn how to do the rice and beans like Ruth Diaz makes? Come on, somebody. So, yeah, we may do one just on day where we're just in here experimenting in the kitchen and stuff like that. So, but we've been wanting to do this for some time. Finally, we're at a good spot where we can do it. So this next speaker, you're in for a treat because you're I think everybody else except for one of the 3 of the 4 last speakers of the day have all known me a long time. And this guy and I grew up literally 200 yards from each other. He grew up right over the hill from me. We went to school together from first grade all the way to high school, graduated together. And I was down here one day and my phone rang and I saw it was a 606 number, which is the area code back home. And I was like, I wonder who that is. And I answered the phone, and it was Russell Thompson. And Russell is, he's like, yeah, I'm living in Daytona Beach now. And so we got together and had lunch and been kind of in contact ever since. But I turned him on to a church over there in Daytona, and he's, just on fire for God now and working real good. But he's in financial planning, and I'm really excited to have him here with us today. We've been talking about getting him in here for you guys for a long time. Well over a year, and we finally, like I said, worked it out to make it happen. So please welcome my old buddy from back in Kentucky, Russell Thompson.
Thank you. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. You guys want to hear some good stories on Brent, like skeletons? Like, you guys aren't going to believe it. He doesn't have any. He's been an angel his whole life. Absolutely. If he would have done anything other than this, I'd have been surprised. He's always been a good guy. We're going to tie in right in with James. That was amazing. Thank you. That was really good stuff. What Nicole and I do is we get with people and we look at where they want to be when they retire. And we come up with a really defined roadmap of how to get there and what it takes. Because if you ask someone, do you want to retire? Well, yeah. Do you want to be successful when you retire? Yeah. Well, how are you going to do it? I don't know. Most people don't until you sit down with someone and you come up with an end plan. It goes right in line with what James was saying, is have smart goals, realistic goals, and have a strategy. You have to. If not, you'll wind up like, I think it's around 75% of the people, by the time they hit retirement, they're really messed up because they've done nothing. And you get to a point in life, and what I found usually it's in the mid-50s, and you go, I've done nothing, and you realize you need to do something, and when you realize what it takes to get you there, you go, oh no. And so people they panic, and again, they do nothing. So my part of this today is with life insurance. Why do you need life insurance? And like some of the analogies he uses, we use one with the road map, and you come up, and usually it's husband and wife, and you come up with a plan to get to retirement, and you have kids, and you have a home, you have all these things. What if something happens, and you're doing this plan, and something happens to the breadwinner, and now you can no longer fulfill the plan? Well, where you use life insurance is you are the car that's going to go down this road, the vehicle, to get you to retirement. So if something happens and your car breaks down or you get hit, you need insurance for that car to cover that car. So that's what life insurance is. There's a lot of needs and a lot of reasons why people need life insurance. Some people need more than others. Some people, if they're single and young, really don't need a whole lot of life insurance. And I'm not going to sit here and tell someone who's 25 years old and just got out of college and not making any money, no family, no kids, that you need $1 million worth of life insurance. I mean, who are you going to leave it to? So that life insurance there's a need to it. And when we get together and we figure out your plan for retirement, how does life insurance fit that need? You can also use life insurance for wealth transfer. You can use life insurance as a part of your retirement plan to where you put money away inside of a life insurance policy. It grows tax deferred and you take it out tax free. She'll talk more about that. But there's a lot of tools inside life insurance policies. The other one is in this wonderful state of Florida, any money you have inside of life insurance and annuities is creditor protected, meaning no one can sue you and get to that money. Anyone in here heard of O.J. Simpson? Yeah, maybe, yeah. That's why he's living in Florida. It's because while he was in the penitentiary, he put his money into annuities, and they didn't want him to be able to leave Nevada or Las Vegas. You know, they wanted him to stay in Nevada because they're not creditor protected. They could have sued him and got to that money. So in Florida, they say, no, you can't touch it. So also it's the same way with life insurance. Any cash you have inside of a life insurance policy is also creditor protected. So it's a good reason to put your money inside those two vehicles just for the money aspect of it, to protect it. Well, I'm going to go through this just real quick, the life insurance part that I passed out, because to determine how much life insurance you need really takes sitting down with someone and answering a lot of questions. When 9/11 happened, the government actually stepped in and said, how do we value someone's life? What is a life worth? And they kind of, just for a rule of thumb, they took the age you are to 67 and said times your annual salary by that. And that's the minimum you need. Because if you're the breadwinner and something would happen and you would pass away, how much of your salary would your spouse need to continue life the way it is? I'm not going to use scare tactics to tell everyone the bad things that happen, but there's a huge need for it. So when you get with one of us, that's our job, is to really let you know exactly if something happened to you at some point, what you would need to cover so that your family can go on living the way they do. So what is life insurance? A lot of people relate it to like a homeowners or car insurance, but it's not, because it's not a law that you have to have it. But if something happens and someone passes unexpectedly, that's when they realize the need for it. But a lot of times if we don't have to have it, we don't purchase it because it's just an expense and we like to spend our money on other things. So it goes back to what James said. You have to have a plan and you have to protect that plan. And that's what you're doing with life insurance, is you're protecting your overall plan. And then how much life insurance should I own? Again, that's just planning. Because someone who makes $25,000 a year and they're 30 years old, they're probably not even going to qualify, but they're not going to be able to get a $5 million life insurance policy. There are some rules to it. And you can't just take a life insurance policy out on someone you don't know. That's been done before. A lot of people are under the impression, I just take a life insurance policy out, and it doesn't quite work that way. Then term or permanent life insurance. This is probably the most important part of this pamphlet for life insurance. Term life insurance is for a period of time. So a lot of people, they go with term because it's cheap. There's a 94% chance, if you go through the underwriting process for term life insurance, that they're not going to pay out. It is protection, or if something unexpected was to happen, but more than likely, they're not going to pay out. And when the term insurance is over, then the money that you paid into it is gone. Now, whole life insurance, or permanent, which a lot of people know it is permanent, it builds cash value, and it's crazy how it works. But at some point, that will be an asset to you. There will be more cash in it than what you've paid into it. So it works as an investment vehicle. It's not super aggressive in growth, and it's kind of, if you guys have ever heard of Dave Ramsey, he's totally against it. I do not like his philosophy because it doesn't work for everyone. You know, everyone's a little different. Everyone's needs a little different. And he says, no, this is the way it is. I'm not going to stand him back. He's a very smart guy and he does great. But he takes the position on something, you don't get it. That's not necessarily the case. It does fit people's needs. There's reasons for it. 75% of corporate America businesses own whole life insurance policies. So these are like the top people in the country as far as business, and I'm assuming they're pretty sharp. And if 75% of them have whole life insurance policies, there's probably something to it. So with term's cheap, whole life is much pricier. So if you're comparing prices and you say, okay, $1 million term policy is $80 a month and $1 million whole life insurance policy is $800 a month, which one sounds more appealing? You know, of course. So at the end of the day, when we sit down with someone and we go through everything and we're building this roadmap to get them to where they want to be, what it all boils down to is budget. You have to be smart. We don't want to come sign anyone up, or I hate to use the word sell because it's more of an investment and protection, but sell someone a policy and just try to charge a bunch of money to get them to take more. You can't put yourself in a position. The reason I'm really hitting this is I've seen people do it. You ever heard of insurance poor? People do it. You get so worried that something happens to me, I really want my family taken care of. Now you put yourself in a position because you have this outstanding bill every month that eats up a bunch of your expendable money. And we don't want that, because really where you want your money is in that retirement, is in your investing. So you have to come up with strategies that serves both purposes and get you there. Does that make sense? When Nicole speaks about the retirement, there's a lot of things. It's hard not to combine the two, but it's crucial. As you get older, though, and the need for life insurance, it should go down. Your debt should go down. You should owe less on your house, less bills. And when you get into retirement, you don't want any more debt than what you have to have. So you don't want to pay a bunch of money for life insurance. So, but again, the need goes down. I mean, if you're 65 years old, not unless you want to leave someone money. And a lot of people take out these big policies because they want to leave a legacy with life insurance, because it's way better than dollar for dollar. You know, you should never, if you have $100,000 invested into a life insurance policy, the death benefit should not be $80,000. So if you want to leave money, that's a good way to do it. But as you get older, you have to think, what do I want to leave? And what it comes down to is, at a certain point, do you want enough just to pay for your final expense money? You know, for your funeral, for any medical bills that may occur. And usually that number's around $25,000 right now. Your average cost for a funeral is supposedly about $13,000. You have some medical bills that usually occur in there, and the number that we're taught to put out to people is $25,000. It could be greater, it could be less, but on average, that's about it. Now, the price for $25,000 worth of life insurance at 50 years old is cheaper, way cheaper than someone who is 65. So it's best to lock that in at a cheaper rate that's not going to go up. But again, you have to look at it, evaluate it, and say, is this worth my money? Do I really want to leave someone this money? And that's where we come in, is to help you make that decision. A lot of people don't think about it. And if it happens and it's too late, then there they are with GoFundMe accounts. And you see this all the time, people trying to raise money, because here's the reality of it. When you pass away and you go to a hospital, only a licensed mortician can get your body. They will not get your body until they know how they're going to get their money. So while your body is in a temperature controlled environment, one of those freezer things you guys see on TV, they're charging you X amount of dollars a day for storage. So now here goes more money into just getting you buried. From a psychological standpoint, who wants to have to deal with this while you're mourning someone's loss? I've heard and read a lot of things about people that get these GoFundMe accounts, and they say it's because they're not in a good state of mind. They go spend some of the money rather than go pay for the funeral. So they say if you're dead, what's it matter? It's nowhere to you, you're dead. But if you're that type of person, then I really don't want to sit down and talk to you, because I can't help you if you're not really wanting to help other people. If you don't care about anyone enough to make sure this is taken care of, there's nothing I can say or do to make you change your mind. So that's just the reality of it. So I will go ahead and let her get into it, because life insurance is pretty cut and dry as far as the need. Again, it kind of goes up and down with age and the amount you make, but it definitely ties right into retirement planning. And I will go ahead and pass that on to Nicole.
Thank you, sir. I'm taking that. Well, thank you. My name's Nicole Granakis. I've known Russell for going on two and a half years now. We've been working together. And the piece that we've got in there for you, it's the roadmap to retirement. And it's going to kind of break down if you're not 50 yet, you're before 50, what are some of the steps that you need to look at? 55, 59 and a half, big number for retirement, big number. And so it's going to kind of go through steps. I'm going to hit some of the highlights, but everything that I'm saying plus more information is in that booklet for you about halfway through. So prior to age 50, hopefully you've met with somebody. If you haven't, it's not too late. That's probably the biggest misconception, as Russell said, is we get to a point and we're like, okay, we haven't started yet. Okay, this is the number. Okay, we're not going to start because we're scared to death now and we don't know where to go. So it's not too late. We've got, we work with people from early in their 30s to people just rolling over their 401ks because they're retiring and now they need to turn it into an income from there and their wives. We've got lots of different age ranges that we work from. But when you're prior to age 50, you want to begin to map out that course. Align your retirement strategies with your retirement goals. How much do you need at retirement? If you're making $100,000 a year now, do you need $100,000 in retirement? Do you need half? Need 75%? Those are different things that we look at. And review how your assets are aligned right now. Are you in a risky portfolio? Are you in a very conservative portfolio? Those are different things, and at different stages in life, you should be at different aggressiveness. Age 50. At this point, you really want to review what you're currently contributing. Most of us have a 401k at work, or maybe a 403b. And this is a good place to start when you're saving for retirement. But there's other contributions you could make, maybe to a Roth IRA or your own traditional IRA on top of that. And that's kind of what, he's talking about with 10% going to your savings, 10% going to investments. What's good about Roth's IRAs is it has some restrictions because you can only contribute if you're at certain income levels. But what it does is it grows tax-free. And when you're in retirement, you want to have at least some income that's going to be tax-free for you, because we want to keep you down in that lower tax bracket. You want to pay as little back as possible. We want to keep those taxes low. So there's different things. And if you make too much money in retirement, guess what? Social Security starts being taxed. Is it being taxed at 50? Or are you hitting where it's taxed at 80? Those are things that we look at. And we even do different things of taking your IRAs that you have now, your traditional, and slowly working them into the Roth. So we're not raising your tax bracket now, but we're paying the taxes now so that that continues to grow over the next 5 to 10 years, and it's growing, and now your tax-free bucket is a little bit bigger. Excuse me. The other thing about the Roth that is good is you do not have to take required minimum distributions. So that's something that is a little bit different than your traditional IRAs. Once you hit 50, there's a catch-up. Okay, so if you haven't been putting money away, or you have, but you're not quite where you want, you can actually put $6,000 more into your 401k, and you can put, the Roth is $5,500. You can actually do 65 once you've hit 50. So it's a catch-up clause. It allows you to kind of put a little bit more away and avoid some of those regulations. One thing that's huge when we're getting close to that retirement, sometimes, like Russell said, we're leaving a legacy. We're leaving money behind. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is beneficiaries are very, very important when it comes to your pension plans, if you have one, your life insurance, of course, but then also your IRAs. Those are beneficiary-driven products. Your will not change who the beneficiary is on your IRA. So you've got around 50, you need to start looking at that, because if you say, in my will, I want to leave my IRA to my daughter, but the IRA is your son, it's going to go to the son. They're directed by the beneficiaries. Health cost. What a lot of people don't realize is health costs can actually hurt your retirement. And one of the statistics here is it's estimated that an average healthy 65-year-old couple will pay $275,000 for medical expenses in retirement. That can take a huge chunk out of your retirement. So some of the checkpoints at 50, you want to look at what you're contributing to your 401k. Can you bump it up? Are you contributing to a regular IRA? Reviewing your beneficiaries, understanding healthcare costs and how to mitigate those as we move forward, and then considering contributing to tax-deferred vehicles. Age 55, we start to look at retirement. We're getting closer. We might want to retire a little bit early. And what happens is, whether you decide to retire early, sometimes we're forced into retirement early. Maybe the business closes, or something along those lines. Sometimes it can be health related. Sometimes we have to retire because our health, we just can't work anymore. So 46% of retirees left their jobs before planned, usually because of a health issue or company downsizing and restructuring. So what do we do there? Well, we're only 55, so if we take early withdrawals, we're going to get that 10% penalty from our retirement funds. So then we have to decide, do we go back to work? Do we do something different? So those are different things that we help you with as far as setting up a plan for you. Pension payment options. I've had clients come to me and say, what do I do? Because a lot of times you can get a life only. You can get, for you and your spouse, a certain amount. You can get a lump sum. There's a lot of different options when it comes to taking your pension benefits. And it's a very good idea to speak with someone to make sure that you are doing what's best for you and your situation. Let's see. So at 55, some of our checkpoints are understanding tax consequences of early distributions, considering the effect of early retirement. It can affect your Social Security, and then reviewing your pension distribution options. Now, something that I work with quite a few clients on is at age 59 and a half. Our time to be in the market, our time to invest in our 401k, it's getting shorter. We don't have time to recover. Everybody remembers 2008. It's when I got started in the business. It's a great time. So 2008, most people lost 40% of their 401k. Some only lost 30. It just depended on where you were in your investments. There was no protection when you're in your 401k. So what we like to look at with our clients is at around 59 and a half, most companies, over 77%, will allow in-service distributions, which means you haven't left your job yet, but you can pull your 401k money and protect it against a downturn. And that's something that I work with clients quite a bit on, because we have only got 5 years left before we're retiring, maybe 6, maybe 7, depending on what we do. We don't have the time to recover from a 40% loss. If we're 30, 40, we've got time. But if we're 59 and a half, we're getting ready for 60, 65 is not far enough away for us to recover. Tax diversification, you've got your taxable bucket of money, you've got your tax deferred, that's your 401ks, your IRAs, it's all growing, you won't pay taxes until you get that, and then tax free. We work to make sure you have the buckets, and we try to keep them as even as possible. So at 59 and a half, you want to help gain, or we would help you gain more control of your tax situations. Learn retirement products that guarantee lifetime income, something that you can't outlive. Explore penalty-free access for your retirement, your 401ks. Okay, 62. A lot of us are working to get to this number. 62, we can take Social Security. What a lot of people don't understand and realize that when you take Social Security at 62, you're losing about 30% of your benefit for the rest of your life. But it's retirement. I'm there. Well, the full retirement age for a lot of us is 65, it's 66, it's 67, and there's a chart in there that actually tells you if you were born after 1960, it's 67 is your full retirement age. So there's a chart in there that has each, and you can find out exactly where you fit into that chart. Spousal benefit. So if a woman was a homemaker and the husband was the breadwinner, the spouse is actually able to get a percentage of Social Security, of the spouse's Social Security. But if you take it at 62, you get 70% of what they got. And there's a chart in there and it goes down. 63, it's 75%. But if it's at 66, which is the full retirement age, you get the full amount, which is 50% of the benefit that the spouse has received. 65. Now we've reached 65, we've got Medicare options. That is a world in its own, and there's a lot of decisions to be made there. There's a lot. So speaking with someone who understands that can help point you in the right direction. Bless you. Also, transitioning your savings to retirement income. You've saved up all this money and they're in different buckets. How do I now use them? What do I spend first? Do I pull a little bit from each? How does that work? And that's something that we work with our clients on. Okay, well, what tax bracket are we in? Okay, so we need to pull more from here until we get to a lower tax bracket. There's many, many strategies moving forward. Spousal protection. And this is a big thing with a lot of our clients. As Russell said, when you lose a loved one, it's devastating. Especially somebody that you have built retirement with, this life with, and now you no longer have them. And I lost my mom a year and a half ago, and we're dealing with this with my father. It was a 2 household income. It's now a 1 household income. What do you do? So we work to make sure that the surviving spouse has the income, and the income doesn't change a whole lot. We make plans so that it doesn't matter, and the life can keep going on financially. Of course, there's other things that we have to deal with, but it makes the transition a little bit softer rather than losing the person that you've spent your entire life with and now having to survive on half the income. So things at 65, you want to evaluate your Medicare options, very important. Create the retirement income plan and transition strategy, and then mitigate the financial impact of the financial impact of losing a spouse. Now, ages 66 to 70, this is where most of us are going to hit our full retirement age. When to file for Social Security is an important decision. We've got different strategies on how to go about it. We've got, if you wait, every year that you wait, let's say your full retirement age is 66. Every year that you wait to claim that after, it goes up by 8%. So if you retired at 60, if your full retirement age was at 66 and you waited till 70 to take that, you're getting 132% of your benefit. So you can take it at 62 and we're losing 30%. Wait a couple years and take it at 70, we've gained 30%. So these are all different things and different strategies. So maybe you take money from your 401k to make it to 70 so that you're making more money. Maybe your health isn't so good, you're going to take it at 65 because our life expectancy could be less. So different things, and the Social Security Administration is not going to tell you, wait, you can make more. 70 and a half. This is when your required minimum distributions are going to start to come on. Any tax-deferred account that you have, any IRAs, they're going to have you start taking required minimum distributions every year, starting with 3.65% in year 1. Year 2, it goes to 3.77%. 72, 3.91%. This can dramatically reduce your retirement if we're in a down market, because you're pulling, your investments aren't earning the way they should. Now what? The safe withdrawal rate, they say, from your investments to last a lifetime is 4%. Can we live off of 4% of what we saved? It depends on how much you saved. Well, we have options that we can turn an income. We can turn your retirement into an income for life, for you, for your spouse, and it doesn't matter if the market goes down. Those are the strategies. We can protect what you've worked your whole life to build. So at age 70 and a half, you got to make sure that you're understanding the required minimum distributions and the impact it's going to have on your retirement. Find out products that offer the guaranteed income and help retirement last for 2 lifetimes. There's a very good chance out of a couple, one of them will live to age 94. So on the last page, I'm just going to kind of go through real quick your mile marker conversations to consider while working with a financial professional. We've got prior to age 50, get started. Align your retirement strategy with your goals. Review how your retirement assets are allocated. Age 50, look at what you're contributing to your 401ks, to your IRAs. Do we need to bump it up? Do we need to play catch up? Review beneficiary designations, very important. Understand health care costs and how it can impact your retirement. Consider a contribution to a tax-deferred investment. 55, understand the tax consequences of early distributions from your investments. Consider the effect of early retirement on your Social Security benefits. And review your pension distributions. What options do you have? 59 and a half, gain more control of your tax situation and diversify your portfolio. Learn about retirement products that provide guaranteed incomes. Explore penalty-free access to your retirement accounts. And consider in-service withdrawal from your 401k. 62, help decide when to take Social Security. Does it make sense for you to take it early? Does it make sense for you to wait? Understand the effects if you do take it early. 65, Medicare options. Big deal. Create a retirement income plan and transition strategy, and then mitigate the financial impact of losing a spouse. 66 to 70, consider the benefits of deferring Social Security 100% or 132. Review how certain Social Security elections affect the spouse and survivor benefits. 70 and a half, understand the required minimum distributions we'll have. Find out more products that guarantee a lifetime income for you and your spouse. And that's all of what we look at. And when we sit down with a client, we take, a bird's eye view. We look at all the investments that you have now. We look at where we can find red flags. We look at where you're doing good. And we help with that roadmap. So I appreciate everything. I thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
This kind of sounds like a whole lot of jargon to me, so I'm trying to piece it
Hold on a
together.
minute, Caitlin, so that the online audience can hear your
Oh.
question.
I'll come over back over
We
here.
do have people watching online.
Okay. So I've already started a 403B at
Okay.
25. Is that a bad thing?
Never.
Or-
Good thing.
Never.
Okay.
The earlier the better.
Okay.
Because what it's going to do is it's just going to compound over and over and over. Anybody who was invested in 2008 in their 401k, like I said, most of them lost between 30 to 40%. The ones that stayed in there, it's up 300% from where it was. It's fluctuating a little bit now, but up until last year, it's just gone up and up and up. But you had to have that time horizon and time to stay in there long enough for the 10 years, 12 years. You've got to be able to have that time. And that's why at 65, we don't have that time. At 60, 59 and a half, it's time to start looking at how do we take away some of that risk. So no, you're very good.
Just so you guys understand the way this works with compounding interest when you're doing investments, it's called the rule of 72. You take whatever interest rate you're making on your money and you divide it by 72. That's how long it takes to double your money. So it kind of puts it in perspective. So when the market dropped, and like she said, it dropped on an average of 40%. So if you had $1 million in your 401k and it dropped to 600,000, what if that was the year you wanted to retire? What if you were going to retire in 2 or 3 years? Well, the market shoots back up, but if you're at 600,000, to get back, if you wanted to go to 1.2 million, and you got 7%, you're looking at 10 more years to get your money back up to where you need to be for retirement. And that's the reason she's really hammering down on how to protect that, strategies to protect that. So you look really young. I'm not going to ask your age, but at 25, when you put your money into the 403B, that's a lot of time for fluctuation. Historically, the market has produced. There's only been like 3 or 4 times that it's had back down the down years. But on certain corrections, it's been substantial. And it's inevitable. It's going to happen again. Maybe not to that degree, but it will make they call it a correction. That's just a dump. That's when your money just goes. And I like to day trade. Day trading I have a huge passion for it. And I went from always swinging for home runs, and after you blow out accounts, and your wife said, if you lose any more of your money, I'm going to shoot you. I went from that to risk management. Now, and it's a huge difference. So now when getting into this business and day trading, I have a more understanding for the importance of starting early and knowing, when you're in a 401k or something, what's actual numbers it's going to produce. 10% is a good number. It's a big number when you're talking about annually increasing your money. So, and knowing that, and knowing what you need in there to grow your money, and knowing that you're looking at 7 to 10 years to double your money. So that's the reason she's hitting on those so hard.
Okay, I'm 50, so once I turned it, I just popped into the catch-up on the 401k.
Mhm.
How much percentage should you be doing? It's like the percentage I put into my regular 401k and my Roth, I go to the full amount that my employer's gonna match me,
Okay.
and I'm vested from day one, which is
Perfect.
awesome.
Yes.
But as far as the catch up, how much should I put the full amount that I'm allowed to percentage to catch up if I have that
If you have
expandable income?
if you have that ability, yes. It's just gonna help you, and without looking at what you already have in place and what your goals are, and do you want to stay at 50,000? Do you need to be at 100,000? Without doing and actually sitting down, it's hard to say.
Because we have Prudential, that's who.
Oh, okay,
And so I have the little sliding scale, and it says like I'm at 72% right now.
okay, excellent, excellent. And that's something that that's if you can, it's not gonna hurt you.
Okay.
It's not gonna hurt you.
Now my husband being 57,
Hmm.
right? Yeah. I have to think. As far as like starting out with his 401k, would that something that wouldn't be, because their company started like 2 years ago, and I just put him in. Should I pop into his catch up on that? Should I increase it for his catch up amount, or him being 57? Should it just?
No, I mean it's not going to hurt if you can do it financially. If it's not going to hurt, what you've got going on, it's not going to hurt you to put more in there.
Okay.
If you want to sit down one on one, because we can kind of look at it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not a problem.
From what I hear you saying, when you're talking about wanting to catch something up and max your 401k out, that's great. But there are other ways if you want to put more money in to reach what you need for retirement. You can do other things. So I don't want you to think that all I can do is play with my 401k and put more money in there. There's ways.
So I have no clue when it comes to investing.
Yeah, and that's where we can. Most people don't. Very few people. If I sat down with, matter of fact, they usually don't call us if they know. They do it on their own. I mean, why would they, honestly? So, but the reason you do 401ks and Roths and all this is the tax deferred growth. And anyone who invests knows about capital gains. Well, you're avoiding any types of taxes. So if I buy AK Steel stock for $4.50 and it goes up to $6.50 and I sell it, I'm going to pay what's called short-term capital gains, which all depends on how much you make in your tax bracket, but that's a big hit on your money. Now, when you're investing in what we call a tax-deferred vehicle, you avoid paying any of those taxes. Now, it's not going to grow as aggressive as what you can trade, but it's important because you're not paying any taxes.
That's what I'm looking to do, is not pay the taxes.
Yeah.
To lowest because my children are now growing to the point where they're not. I have one that's going to be graduating next year from college, so then he'll be
We don't have
no
so much
longer.
tax help.
Exactly. So I'm
Yeah.
looking for that to lower our taxable income.
That would be something
Yeah.
I'd say we'd kind of sit down one-on-one and look at the specifics for you. Because when we do build a plan, no two are alike.
Okay.
And now, with starting with the new tax rules, a lot of that's not going to be as important as write-offs. Like, I thought I wrote off a lot. And by the new rules coming into place that President Trump put in, I wouldn't even have made it enough to itemize, because we're going to get a $24,000 tax credit. That's going to be a big help to a lot of us, but people who were, writing off college tuition or all that, you're probably not going to reach that mark. So that is something to keep in mind. But they're going to take out less on your taxes.
Yeah. Well, he's a truck driver, so we lost a lot of tax deductions for him. 'Cause
Absolutely,
He basically
yeah.
buys his own food. He has his own refrigerator. His truck's all set up.
Yeah,
And it's like, you can't claim that. I'm like,
that's crazy.
but it's,
That-
we basically have two households.
Yeah.
His and mine.
Well, I'm very familiar with that industry, and I'm not saying I agree with everything that they've done, but it is. I mean, that's crucial, and like with that, you just have to really think about, okay, I want to really plan for retiring, but no, if he's a truck driver, is how much longer are we going to have truck drivers? That's the first thing they're saying is going to go with the driverless vehicles. Or
I
truck
don't
driver
see
jobs.
that happening, not anytime
I
soon.
don't I don't know.
That's
I honestly don't know,
80,000
but
pounds coming down the road. I wouldn't want to be unmanned.
yeah, but we can't be. I mean, that's the reason investing for retirement for him
Yeah.
may be a little important than some others.
And he can't be home with me. I work from home.
Anybody else?
You sure?
I've got, my retirement accounts are in a New York State company.
Mhm.
Is that a problem?
I don't like New York State, but no, no.
Well, no, I
I
understand.
get what you're saying. No, are they, now that you're here, anything you owned came with you? Now, as far as the company, when you say New York State, are you aware of that? Did you work for the state? That's the reason.
No,
why-
no, no.
Or are they with New York?
The company that my brokerage.
Your investments
company
are,
is in
that's
New
where
York
the
State.
company is. As long as he's licensed in Florida, you should be fine.
But if not, you might want to look at moving your investments to the state of Florida, just for the protection aspect of it. I mean, that's hard not to, I mean, God forbid you pull out here on the road and you hit someone and you get a wrongful death lawsuit. That's normally along the lines of worst case scenario, but how people lose big chunks of their money are wrongful death lawsuits. And if you move it to the state of Florida, and don't hold me this because this is what I think. We'll get back with you when I find the actuals. But I do know if you can transfer that money down here and it is protected. I cannot say for sure one way or the other if it's protected while it's in New York.
They should know.
Yeah, they would know.
I would imagine they probably are, but
On the optimistic side is you're here, you're protected, so your investment should be. You know, but it's one of those, I can't give you a definite answer.
Okay. Well, with that being said, let's take a break. We're going to go, your lunch is here. So head right on back there. Bring it back to your tables. As we get everybody back to the tables, Dr. Increase will be joining us on the screens here in just a few moments. All right. We're going to move right on through while you're eating. So you can take notes while you're eating if you want to. Our next speaker, I tried my best to get him here, and he was not available. So then we said, well, let's do a live Skype in where he would be live on the screen. And then when he got to where he was speaking, they surprised him and said, well, actually right before he left to go speak, they surprised him and said, hey, not only are you going to preach Sunday morning, but we want you to do a Saturday businessman's luncheon at our church. So then it was like, well, okay, now we have to drop back and punt again. So he graciously didn't want to back out completely from this, so he recorded it. So there are a few people that I consider real mentors in my life, and this guy's one of them. The stuff he's taught all over the world, we were able to do it. We were able to sit under him on a personal level, and it's been amazing. He teaches all over the world, all over the United States, the biggest auditoriums, some of the biggest events with some of the most famous people, and I get to call him father-in-law. So please welcome. He can't hear you welcome him, so you could just keep eating. But on video
Hi,
from
Bob
Tulsa.
Harrison, Dr. Increase, and I'm coming to you today from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I'm at a place that has a lot of memories for me, where I'm standing by a beautiful pond across the street from that infamous White House that I lived in for so many years in Tulsa. Many of you remember the story of how I found this house in your Southern Hills Country Club and was able to negotiate a purchase and move in for $1 down and nothing a month. And for many years, this was our residence, and we raised the kids here. The corner room, as you see, we added that, and that was my office. And my desk would look out through those glass doors, windows all around it, and I would see this pond every day. And in the pond, I would notice ducks, and they would float around, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about ducks and how an understanding of ducklings and duck could revolutionize your future. First, I want to say hello, Brent and Jody, and all of you at Direction Church. It is so great to be with you today. I wish I could be with you live, but I can't because I'm doing a seminar right now in Southfield, Michigan for Dominic Russo. So a church and a whole lot of achievers there. But Brent and I worked out to bring you this message in advance because we wanted you to get this nugget of truth. And I'm just so excited that you're here and so excited about the changes that are coming in your life. Change. What a powerful word. Without change, you're going to be a one-seasonal success. Without a thinking and an attitude of change, you're going to stagnate. Without a thinking and attitude of change, you're going to be left behind. Without an attitude of change, you're going to be trying to sell today's product and today's message with yesterday's thinking. And it's not going to work. But in the personal arena, without change, you're going to get trapped. You're going to get trapped in limiting beliefs. You're going to get trapped in negative experiences. You're going to get trapped into wrong thinking. And this duckling represents change to me. And I'll tell you why. Years ago, there was a very famous person named Dr. Konrad Lorenz. He did experiments on animals and trying to better understand human behavior. And one of his experiments was with ducks and ducklings. He noticed that when ducklings would break out of their shell, the first thing that they did was they would waddle over to Mother Duck. Many of you have seen that. The little ducklings following Mother Duck as a line wherever they go. And he asked himself this question. If when the ducklings break out of the shell, what if there is no Mother Duck there? What would the ducklings do? So Dr. Lorenz did this experiment. He artificially incubated some eggs. And then when they began to break out of the shell, the little ducklings, he made sure that there was no Mother Duck in the lab. Instead, he walked around the lab and he would make duck noises. Quack, 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 quack. And the little ducklings followed him. In the absence of the real, they grabbed a hold of the fake. And they perceived that to be real. It was imprinted in their mind. This is Mother Duck. Now here's the key to the experiment. Then he brought the real Mother Duck into the lab, and she walked around the lab, walked around the little ducklings making all this noise, and they ignored her. Because once the belief was established that the doctor was Mother Duck, they rejected the real even when it came into the room. And that is the challenge that we have with change. See, we say, oh, I want to change. I want to break these limiting beliefs. I want to get rid of this bad habit. But see, life does not take place in a vacuum. There's always going to be resistant forces. And one of the greatest resistant forces to change is that first impression, that first implantation into our brain of what is real. And because, see, the subconscious mind can only function with one belief. Therefore, once that belief is passed to the subconscious for instinctive reactions, it protects that belief. It resists the new. Because if it has to analyze and calculate and figure out, it can no longer instinctively react. It has to send it back to the conscious mind to sort it all out. So to protect the instinctive reaction nature, the subconscious blocks out what's new. And here's the problem. What if the first impression, like with the ducklings, was wrong? And now the new is trying to get in, and it's being resisted. Because that first impression, that first implantation on the memory tissues of the brain becomes the interpreter for that subject area. So that's why sometimes we can make a change with decisions. The doctor says, you know, you got to change this and do this, or this is going to happen. We say, okay. Or you got to do your diet, okay. But a lot of times change is rough. And it's tough. And that's why many people don't succeed. They're not willing to pay the price of change. They're not willing to go through the discomfort of change. They're not willing to go through the uncertainty of change. Instead, they hunker down and accept the mediocre, accept where they are, accept the negative, accept the limiting beliefs. Where all the time a new life is waiting for them if they'll just go through a temporary season of discomfort, a temporary season of change. And so I encourage you today, get an awareness. Do you have habit patterns? Do you have limiting beliefs? Do you have wrong thinking from the past, from your childhood or somewhere else that somebody's put on you or you mistakenly put on yourself? And might they be holding you back? And you've tried to change and you don't know why it hasn't worked? It hasn't worked because you haven't dealt with the resistance. I went through this when I took over the Chrysler dealership. and we're having instantaneously great success, and I'm fighting my old thinking, my old beliefs that said he's the God of just enough. And I'm living a life of more than enough. Am I experiencing guilt? And I had to first of all discover that he was El Shaddai, not El Cheapo. He was the God of more than enough. But that discovery wasn't enough. Because, see, that old belief resisted. That old belief didn't want to let go. And so I had to put myself on a program. And maybe that's what you need to do. Let me tell you about my program. What I did, number one, I went and got Bible verses on increase and abundance. I wrote them down on 3x5 cards, and I began to confess them. So maybe you need to get a sheet or cards of confession, or put some confessions on your front of your iPhone or whatever it might be, and start confessing either verses or positive affirmations wherever you're at, and start saying that I'm believing I can overcome that. Greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world, or whatever affirmations will work for you. Repetition is the number one way we got to believe. It's the number one way we can change a belief. So find some way that you bring repetition in of where you want to go and what you want to do. Another thing is you have to add emotions, because some beliefs can't be changed by thinking. They got an emotion attached to them. There was an emotional experience when that belief was established. And you can't get rid of something intellectually that is rooted in emotions. So maybe you just need to go and find, what are the positive emotions? What emotions are the opposite of the emotions that are holding you back? If the emotion of holding you back is fear of running out, then bring positive emotions of generosity, positive emotions of giving. If you had a negative experience, like I have a close friend of mine, afraid of flying. One person has died in a commercial plane wreck in the last 9 years. Think of that. All the flights in America, and one has died in 9 years, and that person's afraid to fly. I can talk to them, I can give them statistics, it doesn't change. But if I could emotionally change that negative experience to a positive experience, instantly that fear will go away. So maybe you have a dream. Maybe it's a dream of a car. Go down and sit in a car, take pictures of the car and put them up in your refrigerator or whatever. Create a dream board so that you're now not just doing something intellectually, but now you're adding feeling to it. And then you add the feeling to it, there's a power to it. And there's some beliefs that can't even be gotten rid of with strong feeling because they have a spiritual lock. And for that reason, I believe that prayer and praise is such a key part of change. And as you begin to praise and thank God and bring that higher power into your situation and say, God, I believe that you can break it. I can't do it on my own, but you can help me. I believe this program can help you to experience a whole new level of increase, that these next few months can just be dramatic for you, can have a significant change. I just got a text last week from one of our leaders out in Phoenix, Arizona. And he said that a few years ago, he got a hold of this teaching and began to apply the principles. At that time, his business was making $350,000 a year income. He said, I just wanted to tell you, we did our taxes, and this year we were over $5 million. He said, it's only because I got rid of those limiting beliefs and I began to believe for increase that my life took on a whole different direction. So I encourage you, don't put it off. Find out, get an awareness of habit patterns, or get an awareness of thinking, get an awareness of some area of your life that is holding you back, keeping you from experiencing that increase, and go after it. Go after it. And when you do that, I'm telling you, it's going to make all the difference in the world. You might even need a trigger reminder. I have a smaller deck, and I keep this on my desk. And every day when I'm at the desk, I'll look at it and I'll say, Bob, is what you're following real? Is what you're hearing and what you're seeing real? I put it to the reality test. Or I said, are you listening and following something that's fake? Or I also say to myself, are you resisting something that's real? And you need to give up that resistance because there's increase for you on the other side. And maybe that's you. And so if you aim where the ducks are going, if you put your eyes on the future that God has for you, if you're willing to change, then you're going to have a life of increase. You're going to have life of breakthroughs. And I'm excited for all the changes that are taking place in your life. God bless you, and go for the increase.
It's like drinking from a fire hose, isn't it?
Hi, Bob Harrison,
Okay.
Dr. Increase.
Yeah, you already had your time. So we're going to introduce the last speaker, and then after him, we will have a time of question and answers for everybody. So we're going to let this, instead of just bringing them up here, what we'll probably do is just kind of do it roundtable style and let you guys ask as many questions as you want to ask of all of our speakers today together. But I'm going to introduce the last speaker, and I'm somewhat partial to this guy because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this fella. And I'm not going to say too much because he cries real easy. So, but I grew up in this guy's house, and everything that I am and embodied of my belief system really started here. And he and my mom have been a great example for me of how to overcome adversity and how to overcome challenges and how to start from nothing and build something. And I couldn't, when I was thinking about putting this part together, I was like, who do you want to bring to this? Well, I said there's only a handful of people I would really ever want to bring to this, even if we had 10,000 people and I could bring in whoever I wanted. I'd still lean towards Bob and my dad. So this guy is a community developer. Our little town of Flatwoods, and Russell can verify all this. Flatwoods not a big town. It's not a village. It's not like a stop sign. Most people hear the word Flatwoods and they go, it's a stop sign and a gas station and a barn, and that's it. No, it was actually a decent little city. But him and my grandfather and my grandfather's brother did the majority of the development in the city. Businesses, houses, the list goes on. And the thing that I've always appreciated is not just the work ethic, but this guy is a giver and the embodiment of giving. So I want y'all to welcome my dad, JP, to the platform. He was here to speak on a Sunday a months ago. My mom's going to read for him because we started with a guy who can't hardly see, and we're finishing with a guy who can't hardly see. James and Dad have that in common. So I'm going to put that microphone in your hand. Okay. Can you see it? All right, we'll turn the lights down a little bit.
Yeah, he puts me after everybody eats and everybody's ready to go take a nap now, and that's just not going to happen as long as I'm up here. You might go back on the back row or something and take a nap. But anyway, did anybody hear Mark Hankins when he was here? Woo-hoo. Remember? And he would do that, and when I heard him the first time, I thought, that is such a fake laugh. But he would do it just to start out in the body, and then it would get in his spirit. So we're going to do that today. Now, what everybody did for Dr. James, and he did an excellent job. I'm going to talk about him in a minute. But that was just kind of pitiful. It's just like, hey, yay, we're here. Well, we're not going to do it. We're going to do ha, ha, ha. But we're really going to do it loud. Because why? We'll read that scripture in just a minute also. Okay, everybody. Now, I mean it. Do it loud. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, ha, ha. Better than I imagined. That was good. So anyway, okay, I got 2 jokes, and I took some guidelines from Washington, D.C. I had to go back and redact a couple of lines, for the time. Okay, nobody likes that Washington. So anyway, I took my grandsons. Each one gave me a joke, and I always have to start with a joke. So the first one was, did you hear about the guy that invented the knock-knock jokes? He won the Nobel Prize. And what is that? The one I forgot.
I forgot. Hold on a minute.
All right, wait a minute. Yeah. Did you know that the first French fry was not made in France? No, it was made in Greece. I loved them. I was just going on. You go, guys. You're just like after your grandpa. So they done good. So it was so good to hear Dr. James speak. I mean, I was thinking of Miles Monroe or Sam Chan, I thought, golly, how am I going to get up there and compete with that? But he done an excellent job. Amen. And I appreciate all that he did. And one thing about it, he asked, what is keeping you from making more income? And I've heard several speakers say this, and I thought it was so good. And it's your potential. You're not operating in your full potential. You're operating in your full preparation level. So in other words, you can't operate beyond your potential unless you're preparing yourself to do that. So if you go out and study like they did and Russell did and others did, you operate at that level and you step up a level. And the other thing is, I was going to mention Russell, which Nancy and I was surprised to see. He was our neighbor growing up. We know his parents well. But I thought about him talking about insurance. Another thing that you got to consider when you get insurance and life insurance is if you go to the bank and you're going to get some money. Well, the first time I went to get a loan, I got a $3 million loan. That wasn't the first time, but I got a $3 million loan one time. And they said, now you really should go get some life insurance. Go get about $1 million policy, just kind of casual thing. So the next time the first time that I got a $5 million loan, they said, our loan officer will escort you down to our insurance services and you'll get a $3 million policy today, right now, before you walk out of the building. So see, it all goes hand in hand, Russell, business. And so I'm here to talk about giving and business and kind of how that goes on and how giving changed my life. I have notes. Probably won't go by them between the lights up there and down here. So my wife's going to kind of help me and cue me in on some of these things. But our first scripture is about a widow. So she's going to read that scripture first.
Luke 21, 1-4. And he looked up and saw the rich putting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow putting in 2 mites. So he said, truly I say to you that this poor widow has put more than all. For all these out of their abundance have put in offerings for God, but she out of her poverty put in all the livelihood that she had.
Okay, I've heard so many times, I've heard people say, man, I cannot put anything in that offering. I've tried, and that's just not for me. I'm not going to put it in there. Let me tell you, from experience, it's a learning practice. Even if you start right there where that widow started, and you put in, your pence or whatever it is, you put that in, it's a learning practice. And now we're going to talk about, when I come down here to Florida, one time we went over to Cape Canaveral and took that tour, and I really enjoyed that. But they showed us, they said, look over there and you'll see eagle's nest, man-made, but, we fix it for the eagles. It's on a pole, it's 60 feet high, and the eagles come there and lay. And then you can look around here and see those eagles sailing around here. I think, man, how majestic. How beautiful is that? I just think they're really cool. But they'll make that nest, and it's big enough for Pastor Brent to lay down in. I mean, it's that big. And then the mother eagle will come and she'll put grass in it, and then she'll put regular feathers in it, and then she'll put down feathers in it, and then she lays her eggs. So, the babies have the eaglets. I had to look that up. What do you call a baby eagle? An eaglet. So, if nothing else, write that down. A baby eagle is eaglet. No. So, did you know that if a baby eagle is raised with chickens, that it won't learn how to fly? That they have to be taught how to fly, just like we have to be taught how to give. And that's what we're here today. The mother teaches that eaglet to fly. And so I watched videos on it, and these eaglets, they're growing, they're a little pretty big, growing up. And if they're on a limb, they're either in two places. They're in the nest, or they're in a big tree with big long limbs. So the one I watched, they was in a tree, right there beside the tree, standing on a limb. And this eaglet, he kind of swells his chest up, and he stretches his wings out. Man, he really looking good. He stretches his feathers out, flops them around a little bit, and that's all he could do. So he quit right there. So the next day, he goes through that same routine, and he walks a little bit while he's got his wings out. He's kind of strutting a little bit, getting ready. He's preparing himself. So the next day, he's getting a little more brave, and he's kind of jogging down that limb, and he's got his feathers out, and he's just making motions, and he don't know really if they're the right ones, but he's really trying, and he's moving, and he's grabbing onto that limb. It's kind of funny, So he goes on to the next step. The eaglet lets loose of the limb and flies just right above the limb. In case he, gets off a little bit, he can always grab right back onto the limb and hold on to it and not fall. But it's kind of cool. He flies about, 2 or 3 inches above the limb, out as far as the limb will go. So that's one way. And then there's another type of eagle, because there's different types, the bald eagle and the other eagles. And the other type, the mother will just take the down out and take the feathers out, makes it uncomfortable, makes the eagle have to be out of its comfort zone. And then she scoots him over to the edge, hey Mom, what you doing? And then she just scoots him right out. And he didn't have a limb to practice on, and he's falling like a rock. He's going down, he's flopping and flaying his wings, and but that particular eagle, the mother will swoop down right before he hits the ground, catch him on her back, and take him back up to the nest. She does that several times, and that way the eagle finally figures out how to fly. It's either fly or fall. So, it's a process. And we all know that, when you look up and see those eagles, they are good flyers. and they got to prepare themselves to fly. So we're going to prepare ourselves to give. Okay? I felt it, if you all didn't. So there's kind of three things that maybe four, but that taught me how to give and made a difference in my life to start giving. And I was a building contractor and built houses, and then that's when the interest rates started going up, and I was praying and asking the Lord to help me. And I went to a revival, and I didn't really know the evangelist, but he was quite charismatic, and he asked me to come forward, and he started praying for me and telling me he was really reading what was in my heart or what was in my mind to me. I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, Nancy, you've been talking to this guy or something? So he said, your brook that you have been drinking out of is dried up, is drying up. Well, yeah, I'm building houses, the interest rates is 18%. Nobody's buying any. Yeah, I'd say that's true. But God is going to give you a new brook to drink out of. And other brooks will come forth to drink out of. Golly. So this is how it all started coming about. And I was praying on this, and Nancy, let's read the one about fenced in. Now, this is from Paul, and I've always heard Paul was kind of a rough guy, rough customer, and he didn't cut a lot of slack. I may be wrong. I'm not a Bible school student or anything, so. Okay, go ahead.
2 Corinthians 6:12-13 is the Message Bible. Dear Corinthians, I can't tell you how much I long for you to enter this wide open, spacious life. We didn't fence you in. The smallness you feel comes from within you. Your lives aren't small, but you're living them in a small way. I'm speaking as plainly as I can and with great affection. Open up your lives, live openly and expansively.
Wow, really? Really, Paul? You're telling me you didn't fence me in, and the smallness I feel comes from within me? Well, something's not right here. Let's get it all going straight. I never even knew that was in the Bible. And I was reading the Message Bible, and I thought, hey. And that was right after I got this message about more or less diversifying my businesses. And so I said, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to not be fenced in? How am I going to have the wide open spaces that God's got for me? So I kept reading in the Message Bible. Now we're going to read Ephesians. Go ahead, Nancy. Ephesians 1.
All this energy issues from Christ. Ephesians 1:20-23. All this energy issues from Christ. God raised him from the dead and set him on a throne in deep heaven, in charge of running the universe, everything from galaxies to governments, no name and no power exempt from his rule, and not just for the time being, but forever.
Okay, hold right there, man. Okay, sorry. Just hold right there a second. Now, does anybody know what the peripheral nervous system is? Now, I'm not going to get all school. Somebody over there knows? Okay, you can move to the front of the class. Oh, you're already there. Okay. I mean, briefly, in maybe 2 words, what is it? Spinal cord.
No, that's the central nervous system.
That's your peripheral nervous system, according to the dictionary.
Peripheral is your limbs. The central is your spine and brain.
Okay. Well, the book I seen says that your peripheral nervous system is your spinal cord. So God, Christ is the head. The church is the peripheral nervous system. Okay, now Nancy, read the rest of it.
He is in charge of it all and has the final word on everything. At the center of all this, Christ rules the church. The church, you see, is not peripheral to the world. The world is peripheral to the church. The church is Christ's body, in which he speaks and acts, by which he feels everything in his presence.
Okay. Now, if this is right, and Christ is the church, and he's the head, and the peripheral nervous system is your spinal cord, which tells your limbs what to do and where to work, then that is what the church is supposed to tell the world what to do, how to act, where to go. The world's not supposed to be telling us Christians what to do. That made a big difference in my life. It was life-changing. I mean, I don't go in and say, okay, bank, give me $1 million. But I go in prepared. And I go in and say that, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to want to borrow $1 million or something like that. One of the other things that Eagle does, I'm skipping around a little bit. Nancy? Okay. I'll do better. So, anyway, that's where I started making up my mind what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be fenced in. I didn't want the world telling me what to do. I wanted Christ telling me what to do. And then the next thing was Billy Ray Cyrus attended our church. His father was his grandfather was the pastor of our church for many, many years. So Billy Ray would come and sing occasionally, but he come out with achy breaky heart. And at that time, our church was going to try to purchase the lot behind it for the it was a garden lot, and we wanted expansion, so we bought that. And Billy Ray, from his proceeds, maybe from achy breaky heart, donated $24,000. Well, that just got all over me. I thought, God, you're no respecter of persons, and I want to donate $24,000 to the church next year. Yep. But I didn't want to be a country singer. Don't break my heart. You got to recognize where you're at in your gift. So anyway, I challenged God. Okay, Nancy, let's read Malachi now.
Bring your full tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open the windows and pour you out a blessing, Amen, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your bone cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts.
Okay, that's where I started to challenge God. I mean, it said, test me, see if I don't do it. I said, okay. So I started giving. $24,000 in 1 year was a giant step for me. That's more than double than the previous year. And, not a whole lot had changed. So we started giving. And we started diversifying. We started new businesses. God started blessing these businesses. The banks opened up to us, and so we took the other step of giving because of that, just because of the Malachi. Okay. Now, the next thing that helped me to start giving was what you all heard today. Bob Harrison and other teaching. I think everybody that's here done really good, the speakers. And Brent, Brother Pastor Reverend Brent, Doctor. My son does really good at this message too. But I'm not kidding you. Just I'm getting off again, but giving, it's incredible. It's incredible. You wouldn't barely believe the things. All right, I'm going to try to get back on my little story here. All right, we're back to eagles and stuff. Okay? So, I'm almost done. The eagles are very good hunters. But there's one thing about them. When they hunt, they're not like these buzzards. We seen 100 buzzards on the antenna tire out there the other night, I guess. But buzzards eat all the dead stuff, roadkill and all that. Eagles do not do that. They only eat live, fresh, good. And so what we're going to do as business people and prosperity people and givers are going to look for good opportunities, live opportunities, living opportunities to give. And that's kind of the way God showed me some ways to go from being a building contractor to putting in a primary care clinic. That just sounds ridiculous. But we had 7 doctors, MDs. We had 22,000 active patient charts in this clinic that we established. Now, it wasn't me or Nancy. Nancy done a lot of work. But it was God. Make no mistake about it. It was God that gave us favor. God gave us wisdom, and giving paved the way. Amen. Nancy, let's read that scripture on wisdom.
If any man, James 1:5, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him.
See, that's another thing that helped me too, because I prayed for wisdom a lot. Okay, I'm going to tell you this other thing first. Eagles, back to the eagles, they focus on their food 5K away. Like if they see, I don't know, imagine this. What if they could see a little mouse or a little bird or deer or whatever walking 5K away? Will they focus in on that? They do not veer from that target. They fly directly to it and get the target. And when we start a business or a new venture, or start, even if we set goals, just like Dr. James said, set goals to start giving, we set a target to go to, and we focus it. I know when I put this retirement community in, I went to a governor's seminar 10 years before I even started it. But that seed was germinating, and I thought about it a lot, and I thought, now should I do this or should I do that? And I was focused on that. And the other thing is, eagles are committed. Eagles will commit to their mate, and let me tell you a story. It's boring, but no, it's not. This is, I get in trouble if I say anything else. So the female eagle will go and pick up this stick and fly up pretty high and drop the stick. Well, the male eagle's got to show he's committed, so he flies down, gets the stick, and flies it back up to her. Well, she drops it again, and they do it again, and then they go up higher and higher, and then she drops it again. Well, after 3 or 4 times, that male eagle, he's pretty committed. So she, they're mates then, and that's the kind of commitment we've got to show when we start a project. We've got to be committed, just like the eagle. Now, moving along, one more thing about the eagle. Have you ever seen the eagle soaring around? And there's sparrows, ravens, and crows just aggravate the daylights out of that eagle. You ever notice it? They'll come and pluck their wings, and so what does the eagle do? He starts soaring around, and he gets a little higher, and he gets a little higher above all that aggravation, and he goes up where they're not able to come to him and aggravate him. Those other birds can't breathe that thin air, but the eagle gets up there out of the aggravation where he can be alone with God and, just go on up. Woo! All right. Okay, I only got a few more eagle stories. So when you're putting in your business, and I'm talking about businesses, I don't know, it's probably off subject, but I think we're supposed to be on giving, but it's hand in hand. Your giving will go right with your business. So when you're in this business, you go through storms. You have things that happen that you never anticipated would happen. You have government problems. You have, employee problems. You have building problems, just whatever. It doesn't matter. But you have the favor of God. You're not peripheral to those problems of the world. God's going to lift you up and help you through the storm and through the problems that you're going through. And what does the eagle do? He sails around that storm, and he moves up higher again. He can go up higher, and he'll finally get up above the storm. And that's the way we do in business. We'll get up above the storm. You get up there on them solar winds, and that eagle just kind of cocks his wings back. He'll tuck his head down, fold his feet up, and he can sail just like a jet plane with satisfaction. And that's the way you would be in your business when you get your own satisfaction, from starting your own business. You'll just be sailing in the wind. Now, just a few more things. In one of Bob Harrison's seminars, we learn about creating your own economy. It might have been Miles Monroe, I'm not sure. But that helped me a lot too. Like we was talking with Russell about AK Steel in our Flatwoods area. Well, they depended on it a lot. But you know what? A lot of the men there started creating their own economy. They started creating body shops and mechanic shops, and they started creating, the women that worked there or the men might have created beauty shops. They started creating their own economy. They didn't have to depend on the world. They went out other places and got it and created it, just like God created us. The other thing is, what was one more thing? Okay, we'll go to You got more scriptures? Okay, let's get that. Almost done, Brent. I'm just going to talk about Brent one more time, and then I'll be done.
Luke 6:38, given it shall be given, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men given to your bosom, for which the same measure that he mete, withal it shall be measured to you again.
And that's in the Bible. Woohoo! All right, read that other one.
2 Corinthians 9:7, every man according as he purposed in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly, or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver.
Ha, 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 ha. Come on, everybody. Ha, ha, ha. We're all cheerful givers here. Ha, ha, ha. Okay. At Brent's Rhema graduation, John Hagee come, and he talked about the eagle. Of course, I didn't take nothing from his stories, but anyway, he talked about the eagle, and his last words to them was, soar, soar, soar. Or it might have been fly, fly, fly. And that's what I tell you all today. Fly, fly, fly. Okay. Thank you.
Stay right there. Stay right there.
All right.
Stay right there. Before we get the panel up here, I want to ask you a couple of things. And Mom, come up here too, because you're going to help answer these. Because she was in the middle of all this with him. And it was a lot of times the voice of reason. And when I say voice of reason, sometimes those of you who are in a marriage, usually one is the other one's strength or weakness, And so my dad is very visionary. Here's what we're going to do, and he just kind of moves 1,000 miles an hour. Sometimes when I'm even talking to him on the phone, as vision forward as I am, I have to go, hold on a minute, you're about 8 steps ahead of me. I'm not there. You're going to have to give me some time to catch up, because I haven't processed how I even get to that point. So I got to figure that out. And Mom's real good with that. But at the same time, I'd rather stand on the brakes than push the gas, because I'm very organized and she wants to have it all, Amen. That's right. I say it all the time. Sandy reminds me of my mom all the time. You're moving too fast, and I can't keep that organized, so JP, you got to stop. So that's why I got them both up here. But now here's what I wanted to ask you, because I remember it one way, and evidently my stories are not always accurate according to them. When you started, when you made your first decision to, because I know we were tithers growing up. We were always given tithes. But when you really made the decision to really give, not just when Billy Ray challenged you, but I mean, what was the motivation before Billy Ray? Okay, when you were, I have to ask this carefully, because these questions, because they were always people that gave to the church, gave to the pastor and stuff like that. Everybody understand, my question is not self-motivating, because I'm going to talk about the way they gave to their pastor. But don't anybody take that as a hint that this is how you're supposed to treat me. Please, that's not why I'm asking these questions. I just know what it did for them. Everybody hear my heart there? Don't go, oh, he just told him. Okay. My dad both of them were very instrumental in blessing the pastor. I remember they were instrumental in, I think you built the first parsonage, didn't you? The one on Patterson Street? Tom and Sue's house?
Help. I think
Was that your house? You built that house, didn't you? Ed Keaton did, okay. But you were the one beside of it. Okay, I knew it was down there somewhere. But you were always instrumental in blessing them that way, blessing them with their house and blessing them with their car and blessing the church with this, if it needed a piece of equipment or whatever. What was your motivation for doing that? How did you get to that place? Then we'll talk about the big time.
Okay. I never knew my grandmother, but she passed away before I was born, but I heard the stories about, she was the evangelist that would circuit rider in the hills of Kentucky. So she would go and do this, but when she was at home, she would open her house up to the other evangelists traveling through the city or the state, and she would accommodate them, her and my grandfather, and they would, just fix their food. I don't even know if they had a car, but they'd help their car. They'd take them back and forth to church. They would just was there for the preaching. They had a heart for those preachers that come. And then my mother and father was the same way. I saw them giving, especially evangelists, when they would come in. They always made sure that our pastor had everything he needed, but when evangelists come in, they had some extra there for him to make sure that was all accommodated.
All right. So now, what did that do for you, though? What did that do for you when you adopted that lifestyle, being a giver like that? What did that do for you?
I don't know. I kind of remember my mom one time. She sat me down and said, we're consistent givers, tithers, and some others might be up or down. But if they would sell a house, they would always pay tithes on that. But otherwise, weekly. And she said, you need to pay your tithes and give your offerings consistently to be blessed. And that really just burned in me.
All right. Now, outside of tithing, because a lot of people sometimes they look at tithing and then there's giving on top of the tithing. When you transition from just being a tither to giving on top of your tithe, what kind of transition was that mentally for you? Because I know that that's a big step for some people to kind of go, whoa, I'm already giving 10% and God's asking me to do more. And how did that play out in your
Okay, I had that in my notes, but anyway, if I say this, it's not bragging, okay? Okay.
It's okay,
Can you
brag,
explain?
man. Brag. That's why I got you up here. I want people to,
Okay.
I want
Okay.
people to understand what it is you're really trying to say.
So the IRS, that's the Internal Revenue
The
Service.
wonderful folks, in case they're watching right now, wonderful folks. We don't have any. We love you and appreciate all the.
will
work you do.
allow 50% of your income to go to charitable organizations such as a church. Anything over that will go into a fund that you can kind of build up. It's
You can declare it next year. Or whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't gain interest or anything or pay interest or anything. But anyway, I'm not going to say any amounts, but for the last 5 years, we've had more than we could deduct, which was more than 50% of our income.
The fund has been accumulating for more than 5 years because you're giving over 50%. Okay, now that's the question. What mentally shifted for you in order to be able to do that? Because some people hear 50% of your income. Holy cow! I mean, again, don't anybody think that you. Remember what James said first. Don't walk out here going, I have to adjust to 50% of my income. Use what works for you. I'm trying to get you to understand the generous mindset, okay?
Well, I wasn't raised in church, so it was a learning experience for me, like a lot of people in the world. But we just felt like once we started giving, and God just directed our steps in areas that we couldn't even imagine. Now we look back on it 47 years, 48 years, and it amazes us how God has provided for us. I mean, we're not like overbearing wealthy or nothing like that. We don't have lots of money, but we have lots of seed in the ground that God has just provided unbelievably. And JP's book is Intangible Prosperity. We've had properties and we've had things that came about that it amazes us. It was a God thing. If we would have tried to think of it, we would have probably never done it. But
I really trying to focus you two on saying, because I know he doesn't like to talk about anything negative or backwards, but it's how do you, it's that overwhelming, you're asking me to give how much? How did you overcome that fear? That's the word I'm looking for. The fear to step out, to not be given 50%, but just 15%.
Okay. We talk about this before, you and I, on the Harrison Ford movie, and he walks out on the invisible bridge. That's faith in action. When he, I think he threw gravels out, but he'd take a step on the invisible bridge, and it was there, and his foot held, and he took another step, and he took another step. And
Well, were
that's
you
that's
nervous,
the
though?
way we did. Well, you don't know what's going to happen.
Were you nervous?
Sure.
Were you scared?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
not were you living in fear, but were you scared? There's a
yeah,
big difference.
sure. Sure, I think we was. It's scary, but we just kept doing it. And we, just like it says, prove God. We'd give so much, and we'd think, wow, do you believe that? No, I believe it. And then we'd give a little more and say, well, okay, let's beat that. And then we'd give a little more. We didn't go out and do foolish things, but we'd go out and just, if there was a need out there, we would try to meet the need. And that's what we did.
So, I know that was a stressful time. I lived through that with you. When the clinic was taken off, and it was a friend of mine in Mississippi says it this way, it was a whole new zip code of giving. His church was, when we first started the church, well, a little more than afterwards, this guy's church gave our church $50,000, which we desperately needed at the time. And I finally, we talked face to face, and he was giving based on where they were going for their new building. They're building a $7 million building. And he goes, that's a whole nother zip code of faith for me. Yeah. And so he said, so we had to start giving in that zip code before we were there yet. And I know that's what I'm trying to get at, is they started doing that before they were there, but not in a place that was crazy. It wasn't like you were deciding you were going to give 50% of your income when you were living on, we have to have 120% of our income in order to survive. They weren't at that place. So how did you just take small baby steps to get there with the ultimate purpose in mind?
I'd say that was over several years. We just would give, and the need would be met, and it was just to watch God. What is your question again?
I'm trying to get to the fact that when people feel like they're supposed to give and they just kind of go, I just can't do that, or I'm scared to death of what's going to happen if I do it and it doesn't happen, and I'm trying to show that even the most successful givers go through that.
Sure.
And how did you get over it?
And you don't give just to get.
Right.
I said you don't give it just to get something back. You give it because you love giving.
You
to
love God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And doing what He wants you to do, and you just start stepping out there.
So, okay. So if you were somebody starting off right now, and you're a tither already, because I'll say this, our church has got great tithers. I sit and watch. You can tell when people get paid because we start getting the emails of people giving online and stuff. But if you're just a normal tither and you want to up your giving game, what's the first natural step to take?
Increase your giving.
Do you?
See a project that you can get behind and that you like, and you say, oh, okay, I think the church does need whatever it is, and I agree with that. So I'm going to give a couple extra, offerings on there, so that the church will get that, and you'll see that that's beyond your tithes. You give that, and you get kind of a satisfaction feeling in there. And if I can, Brent, is this it?
What are you looking
Here.
for?
I want the ushers to come.
We don't have no ushers today, so.
Okay, 2
Oh, you're
volunteers.
going to plant a seed in everybody. Okay.
Yeah. No, this is. It's not.
No, we're not taking that money, we're giving out money.
Now this is.
I
It's
didn't know he
not.
was going to do that.
Well,
Well, it's not a whole
it's
lot,
I'll
symbolic.
take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
This is symbolic.
Luke's going to do it for you.
Okay. $2 to everybody.
Everybody's going to get $2 today. All right.
Now, this is just, you can take it to Russell, or you can do whatever you feel like you need to do with it. Plant it in an offering. It's yours. You can do whatever you want to. But I just feel so confident in this church and this congregation that's here that I want to invest in you all, and it's going to make me happy. I told Nancy I wish I could give $100 bills out, but I'm not there yet. So pray for me. And I don't.
Next time.
Have you ever been to a seminar when anybody does that? I haven't.
I have
So,
never seen a guest speaker give out money before.
Okay.
It's pretty awesome.
This is.
You
how-
have? Okay, Randy. I've never been in one of yours, so.
Yeah, we like Bill Winston.
Oh, Bill Winston.
Okay.
Dad loves him.
Yeah,
so.
I like Bill Winston.
All right,
Cool.
then.
So
All right, now, one more thing, and I'm gonna let you go. Oh, I get the last two. All right, praise the Lord. Last question, and then we'll open it up for everybody. Here it is. How do you transition into big giving?
No.
Now, when I say that, I'm talking. Now they don't like to say things like this, and I understand why. But I can say this because they gave it to this church. When we started this church, we had to raise $30,000 in order to get matching funds from an organization to help us start. 30,000, boom. They go, well, that's your parents that would do that. I watched them do it at their home church for a pastor they're not related to. When he talks about giving to match what Billy Ray Cyrus gave, he actually gave double that. Dad gave $40,000 to the building fund that year. So I'm saying that to say I've watched it, and they're probably embarrassed right now for even saying that. But how do you transition into that kind of mentality? I mean, because to say, I know millionaires that never gave $10,000. So how do you get to that point in your thinking? Because I know you're the one that had to write the check. So
And when you started the church, we didn't know where it was going to come from. We had no idea where we was going to get $30,000. But I'm telling you what, the Lord provided right to the day of when He needed it. And there was. I couldn't believe it. I mean, really, I thought, oh my gosh. But if you're a giver and He'll give it back.
But how
And
do
then
you?
we got
but
to
how do
plan
you-
it in you all.
But mentally, how do you get to that point where you're okay with it? I don't mean like, oh, $30,000. Let me just. But I mean to where you're going, okay, God, I'll do that.
it's not our money.
Yeah, it isn't our money.
Say that
first
again.
of all.
Say it
Not-
again.
it's not our money. I mean, we're just passing it through. God to give it. And another thing I wanted to mention, we don't need anything. We don't really want anything. Maybe a Bentley, but maybe I mean, we don't
He
need
wants
it.
the SUV though.
We don't need anything like that. We've got everything we need. We live a really nice lifestyle, comfortable. We're not flashy or anything. All of our excess goes to the churches, not just this church, but other churches.
About 3 more. Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't